My favorite rodeo event? Well, that'd probably have to be the saddle bronc riding.
You know what? I'm going to side with a lot of the fans. I'm going to say the bull riding.
I want to say the saddle bronc has got to be my favorite because it's just poetry in motion.
The Wild West. Brought to life here at Prescott's Frontier Days and the world's oldest rodeo. Right here on the real Rodeo Drive.
In 1888, the rodeo started. Then in 1913, we moved here to this location at 840 Rodeo Drive and been here ever since.
Look past the ring, and you'll find that Prescott is a real cowboy town, filled with true stories of gunslingers and gamblers, lawmen and outlaws.
So we've got bullet holes, we've got hauntings, we've got a brothel, and we've got a bar that managed to survive a fire.
Yep. The Palace is the oldest saloon in the state, opening up in 1877. A favorite spot for some of Arizona's most famous residents, like Doc Holliday, White and Virgil Earp, always ready to drink or gamble. Nearly 150 years later, the Palace is still here on famed Whiskey Row, thanks in part to its loyal patrons.
The bar was carried out during the fire of 1900, and they took it across the street and they just continued serving.
You know, that's so funny. I did hear that. So here you have this giant fire, and the only thing people are worried about aside from their lives is making sure that the bar stays intact.
That's more famous than Virgil killing a cowboy because that bar is incredible. It's an 1880 Brunswick back bar. And they got to the door, they had an oxen out here and they dragged it across the street and they didn't miss a beat, they just kept serving.
More recently, the community rallied around another popular watering hole. In 2012, flames gutted the birdcage.
The fact that the back bar survived is just incredible. I mean, seeing all the destruction and carnage within the building.
Like a phoenix, the birdcage rose from the ashes, and the owner was able to reopen down the street.
If it wasn't for the love of this town that embraced us and brought us back up, we would not have been able to rebuild. Whiskey Row has got a lot of heart.
Politics also plays a big part in Prescott's history. You may know that Prescott was designated Arizona's first territorial capital in 1864, but do you know why?
Probably one of the main things that makes it unique is there was no town here at all when President Lincoln wanted to make this the territorial capital. And that was done because the gold and silver that was found here, and he wanted to keep it in Union hands. It's the only territory that was created where there was no town.
Prescott has another distinction. It is Arizona's official Christmas city. The annual lighting of the Courthouse Square and the Christmas parade is your front row seat to small-town charm and tradition. The city of Prescott is full of color, with statues across the city commemorating its former leading men and cowboy culture. And now, cowgirls are getting their due.
My favorite event is breakaway roping, and Prescott Frontier Days, they added breakaway roping in 2021. So it's a fairly new event, but it allows more opportunity for women in the sport. And breakaway roping started becoming more and more popular, and Prescott Frontier Days was one of the first to jump on the bandwagon and allow more opportunity for women in our sport.
History, heritage, and hometown pride in the heart of Arizona.
Prescott, Arizona. How you feeling on a Saturday night? Let us hear ya!
This isn't Prescott's first rodeo. Not even close. This is number 136. Welcome to the world's oldest rodeo, started back in 1888.
What really makes us special is that any of the rodeo contests before were just contests. And it was the world's oldest rodeo that actually established the foundations, the key foundations to make it sanctioned PRCA World's Oldest Rodeo, and one of those factors was contestant prizes, so the prize money. And the World's Oldest Rodeo actually ranks in the top 20 of all rodeos across the nation as far as prize money is concerned.
Tens of thousands of fans come out every year to celebrate the week-long festivities of Prescott's Frontier Days. They then pack the grandstands for an unforgettable experience.
And they're off. It's time for the wild horse race.
The rodeo starts out with the most exciting event, the wild horse race. And when they blow that whistle and those chutes come open for 2 minutes, there's a whole lot of wild horses running around, 3 guys trying to catch each one and saddle it and ride it.
Rodeo fans cheer on the best of the best, from steer wrestling to bareback riding, roping to barrel racing, to bronc and bull riding.
The performance all the way through until the last bull bucks, people are on the edge of their seats.
For this particular event, we bring about 450 animals between the horses, the bulls, and the cattle.
Kirsten Vold owns Vold Pro Rodeo. Her father started providing the animals here in 1972. She is now continuing the legacy, breeding horses and bulls for the sport of rodeo.
I raise all my bucking horses, so I'll pick the stud and I'll pick the mare, and I'm hoping the genetics, it'll just like when you're breeding race horses or any other type of horses. And then you wait until they're 4 or 5 years old before you buck them the first time, and then you'll turn them out for another year. And bulls are very similar, only you'll start their careers a little earlier. They'll start going when they're about 3 or 4.
One thing's for sure, this rodeo's never the same old, same old. There is something new every year.
1, 2, 3. Hang on, buddy.
We brought mutton busting back to the rodeo grounds as an attraction, but it is also a contest for the kids where they ride the sheep. And this year we actually had the mutton busting for every single performance. So, you know, just more for the fans' entertainment.
Go, Bradshaw. Yeah,
The most wonderful thing is to see all the new people coming into our rodeo that has never experienced a rodeo is pretty spectacular. And we've even had people come from Germany and, you know, France, and so we're just really getting out there and becoming this very well-known, popular attraction, if you will. But it's a great way for us to share our rodeo heritage and our legacy with new people.
The bond between a cowboy and his horse is something special.
James Horcasitas' love for the rodeo is loud and clear. He's the co-announcer, providing the play-by-play, along with a little color commentary.
Sounding mighty fine and looking even finer here on a beautiful Saturday Night Live.
James didn't start out as an announcer. He was a team roper, then got into bull riding. That was until he was asked to fill in on the mic.
So they said, hey, you're really good at talking, so go up there, one-time deal, don't worry about it. I walked downstairs and like, you're booked for the rest of the time we do this. I was like, ever since then, I've been in the announcer stand.
And of course, no rodeo would be complete without its queen.
So a rodeo queen is an ambassador for the sport of rodeo, and more specifically, when we're crowned Miss Prescott Frontier Days, we represent Prescott Frontier Days as well as the town of Prescott.
It's the kind of crowning achievement little girl dreams are made of.
As I was growing up, I always would tell myself, and I'd have my family tell me, you're going to be a rodeo queen. And so I started queening, and one of my big things that I really wanted to accomplish was to represent Prescott Frontier Days.
The world's oldest rodeo isn't just a professional sporting event. It is a production. Think Super Bowl Sunday times 8. That's how many times these athletes and acts perform here.
In the middle of the rodeo, our specialty acts are really special this year. This year we'll have the Broken Spoke Clydesdales. Those are always a big hit. But we also have the One-Armed Bandit, that's John Payne. He's the most amazing animal trainer in the world.
How about a nice welcome, if you would, to John Payne, the One-Armed Bandit.
I came here in 1989 first, and I brought buffaloes, steers. This year we got a zebra and some Mustangs. And I ride old Scout here, he's a superstar. At the end of my show is a death-defying act. This horse here spins on top of a trailer 12 foot in the air, and then his body's about 15, 16, 17 foot in the air, and we're spinning this horse on top of the trailer while we're driving out of the arena about 12 miles an hour.
This Hall of Famer says life with the rodeo is like a paid vacation.
My number one priority, well, just a minute, I'll let you talk. My number one priority in life is have a good time.
Spoke Clydesdales as they make their way in. What about that?
Another showstopper? These beauties perform in about a dozen rodeos around the country every year.
Our Clydesdales, what's a little different is we have what would be rejects to their hitch because they don't fit the color scheme, the size, all that. But they still have the feathering on their feet. As you might notice, the mare behind us has a black foot or may have a white piece up the side of them. You know, those aren't traditionally the color that we look at as Budweiser Clydesdales, but they're still very good horses. They perform and the public fall in love. Everybody's favorite is that black-footed mare that we have out in the lead. To be able to be a part of the world's oldest rodeo is something special.
We're all one big love of rodeo and just the Wild West, because I think that's the big draw is this is the last stand of the Wild West in the world today.
Arizona Highways TV is brought to you by APS, making every day brighter, and the Arizona Office of Tourism.
Every day, savings, energy efficiency, rebates. Every day, you have ways to save energy and money. Schedule a home energy checkup for savings recommendations tailored to your home. Find rebates on smart thermostats, appliances, and more at the APS Marketplace. Compare your rate plan options and switch to the plan that would have saved you the most money. Find ways to save at aps.com/brighter.
Here in the heart of downtown Prescott, smack dab on Whiskey Row, you'll find a place where the real spirit of this town is not only being celebrated, it's being preserved.
Everything from the rodeo memorabilia to film history in Yavapai County to other private collections, some gun collections, just a number of, they're going to see just about every organization in Yavapai County that has something to do with preserving and promoting our history.
Dennis Gallagher is the founder, president, and CEO of the Prescott Western Heritage Center.
We're really a showcase of multiple museums and organizations and private collections. Approximately every 8 to 10 feet is a different organization or subject matter. One exhibit might be Phippen Museum of Western Art. Next one might be Museum of Indigenous People. Next one may be Yavapai County Law Enforcement.
Having a museum on Whiskey Row may seem a little odd.
Back in the day, late 1800s, there were said to be 40 bars on Whiskey Row. Of course, Whiskey Row was more than one block at that time, all the way down to the train station. But it's legendary because, you know, Virgil Earp had a business here. He was a deputy here, and Doc Holliday and Big Nose Kate. They all showed up here. I think they talked him into going to Tombstone, which was a big mistake.
Dennis says the famed street brings in a lot of tourists. Turns out, many are thirsty for Western history.
We've had over 70,000 people come through this past year from over 50 countries.
While Dennis says the public reception has been overwhelming, it's important to keep the exhibits fresh, a challenge for any museum, especially for a nonprofit. Luckily, a team made up of dozens of volunteers are able to make it happen. You might even see them dressed up in period costumes, eager to tell you a story or two.
I think I have a couple favorite exhibits, one being the Rough Rider exhibit, the Spanish-American War. That actually, Troop A was from Prescott, so it all started here and then moved east. And then our history of film in Yavapai County is exceptional also. Beginning in 1912, first movie was made here. This was before Hollywood. And between 1912 and 1940, we had 3 movie studios here. Tom Mix made over 60 movies here.
While the center is helping to preserve the past, it's also looking to promote the future by awarding scholarships and offering school field trips.
I'd like to bring in more technology to show people our history and heritage, especially our youth. I want to engage more with our youth.
Part of the center's mission is making history and heritage accessible to everyone. And that means admission is always free.
We do this because we love it, we believe in it, they're all passionate about it. It's just been an incredible ride.
People that come here in particular, they're a little bit more adventurous. They're not just going somewhere to get a vodka soda or a Jack and Coke or a beer.
We are drinking adult beverages here in historic downtown Prescott, but this isn't Whiskey Row. We are across the street at Arizona's first meadery, in the basement of the old Capitol Market building.
Our mission is to reintroduce the world's oldest fermented beverage to mankind. Everything we do.
Jeff Herbert is the owner and founder of Superstition Meadery.
Mead is the most delicious beverage you will ever get to try.
It's different than beer and it's different than wine.
It's fermented honey, and what's not to like? There's always good music playing, the lights are dim, like it's very different than anywhere else in Prescott. It's relaxing and it's cool, it's pretty hip. I come to the tasting room for 2 reasons, and that's to be alone and just have space to myself, enjoy a wonderful glass of whatever they have on tap. I also really like coming down here for dates. Because the ambiance is so nice, so warm, and it's a wonderful icebreaker because you order a flight, you can try all sorts of different things. So if you have nothing else to talk about, you can talk about all these different flavors that you're experiencing together and get into a really good dialogue about it.
Mead, it can be as dry as the desert or so sweet that it makes you smile. So it can be anywhere in between. And it's really exciting to be a part of something that we get to define. We get to say what it is. There's no rules. The only thing that we're limited by is our imagination and 1 or 2 laws.
Arizona Highways TV is brought to you by APS, making every day brighter, and the Arizona Office of Tourism.
Every day, helping, caring, supporting. Every day at APS, we're here to help with bill assistance and more when you need it most. Lower your bill with our energy support program. Qualified customers save up to 25 or 60% every month. Pay down your bill with crisis bill assistance and other programs and resources. Learn how you can get help with your bill at aps.com/brighter.
Subscribe to Arizona Highways Magazine. 1 full year, 12 issues, is just $18. That's $6 less than the regular price. Visit ArizonaHighways.com, click on subscribe, and use promo code SPECIAL.
At the higher levels, it's much rougher. At our level, it's very much a gentleman's sport, but it's still rough and tumble. It's still a lot of bumping, a lot of elbowing, a lot of knees.
Now I know what you're thinking. Is that a polo field in the middle of nowhere? And are they actually playing a polo match? The answer is yes and yes. This is the Skull Valley Polo Club.
This is where a lot of people in Arizona learn to play polo.
Polo may sound like a lot of pomp in high society, but it can be rough and dirty.
People get hurt all the time. Everybody that's on the field has got broken bones at some time or another. There's usually a death or 2 every year, which is surprising, but yeah, in some form or another.
They say polo is a gentleman's sport. But don't tell that to this offensive player. or Daisy, her horse.
If you're on a good horse, you can still battle with a man double your size, so it's actually pretty empowering.
It's a short field. It's about 60% of what a normal field is. So this field is 230 yards long. A normal field's about 300 yards long by 160 yards wide.
But to truly tell the story of the Skull Valley Polo Club, we have to go back a century, when Van Dixon Ranch trained polo horses for Hollywood's elite.
He trained polo ponies, actually, for the LA Polo Club back in the early 1900s.
A man by the name of James Van Dixon and his wife Pearl homesteaded this ranch in 1906. Their horses hold double duty. First, as ranch horses.
Then they would take them down here to the railhead and ship them off from Skull Valley by rail to Los Angeles.
That's where they played polo for one of Hollywood's most famous cowboys.
Several actors used his ponies. Among them is Will Rogers, I think Spencer Tracy.
At the end of the season, they'd be sent back. Once again, work on the Van Dixon Ranch and train. Fast forward to 1999. That's when Paul and Carolyn Harris bought the 600-acre ranch.
We fell in love with it, the country.
Well, he drove in here and he looked and he said, Carolyn, this is the place, get out the checkbook. And all I could see was squalor holler. There was brush all the way to the road and the house was a shack, but he could see what he could make out of it. And actually, I really respect his vision. So I got out the checkbook. We didn't even know there was polo here before, that there'd been polo here 100 years before. And he just saw that he could make a polo field there, but I had no idea that it could be like this. He probably did.
Well, they bought the ranch, and after learning of its history, they decided to save the name.
We love the history, and we live the history here, and we promote the history, and we appreciate the history.
So this developer from Texas decided to continue not only Van Dixon's history, but his own. Paul was a polo player back in Austin.
I've always fooled with horses and messed with them and always played polo.
So why Skull Valley?
I was trying to take her back to Texas, but this is as far as she would go. Skull Valley.
Paul no longer plays polo, but he does officiate.
I feel the game, and I feel the infractions. I see them as they materialize there on the field. And it is a feel. You have to feel the game.
Paul and Carolyn also host weddings at the ranch and are building riding trails for the horses, hoping to add another 5 miles.
I'm a horsewoman, and I've done dressage, 3-day eventing, and jumping. Right now I've got a quarter-horse mare.
But the couple has another passion.
Make Skull Valley great again.
They've seen their small town get even smaller over the last 20 years.
The store is closed, the cafe burned down, and the gas station doesn't sell gas. But other than that, it's very vibrant.
And they're doing their part. The Skull Valley Polo season runs from May through October. They invite anyone to come and watch.
We say bring your lunch and your drink and a chair.